where the Wahhabis attacked Tijaniyas because they were doing the wrong thing, if you put it that way. And eventually, it had to become a national issue. The government came in and the problem was solved. But to conclude on Islam, it's important to know that in Ghana, even though Muslims are in minority as compared to Christians, the government gives them equal rights, equal opportunities. For example, you find that the Eid al-Fitr and the Eid al-Adha, they are celebrated as national holidays, together with Christmas and our Christian holidays. The other thing is that you find the Arabic English schools we have in Ghana, they are sponsored by the government. Government actually pay the teachers, the government provide the material for this school, and those people teaching Arabic in those schools are actually paid by the government. And so there's that equal platform for all three religions to interact in Ghana, which to some extent that is very good. There's no discrimination. I'll just say something a little bit, not much about Christianity. Like I said earlier on, Islam preceded Christianity, but Christianity has been stuck to the southern part of Ghana for years, and I think there are several reasons for that. We know that the British colonial policies did not allow the missionaries to go up north. That is a general thing, not only in Ghana, but also around West Africa. Now, within the Christian community, we have so many denominations. We could spend the whole day trying just to name this. But I sort of looked at the main Protestant church, then the Catholic church, and just put all the others together as other denominations. That will include all the charismatic Pentecostal denominations. I think somebody will tell me that there's distinction between Pentecostal and charismatic, but for now, just forgive me to lump the two together. Now, the Catholic Church has about 15% of the Christian population, 15.1, but just 15. The Protestant Church is about 18.6. The Pentecostal Church, 24, and then other denominations, probably the African initiated churches will be about 11%. There are sources for all this. Now, you find that if you put the Protestants and the Catholics together, they form about 2/3 of the population of Christians in Ghana. And so, because of this, I chose to focus a case study on the Protestants and the Catholic Church, how they have engaged with Muslims in the past and what they are doing at present. And so, this is actually a case study of the Christian Council of Ghana, which is the new Protestant Church, and then the Bishops' Conference, as it's called. And I'm looking at how these institutions, in terms of their official policies, please get me, I'm talking about their official policies on one hand, but also what happens in practice, how they have engaged with Muslims. I have not talked much about the Pentecostal. There are reasons for that. One, you realize that the Pentecostal Church, which they now have a council called the Ghana Pentecostal Council, which is probably the equivalent of the Christian Council of Ghana, they do not have official policy on Muslims or how to treat Muslims. When I was writing this, I sent email to the council to check, if there's anything that I could look at. I got an email back from one Dr. Transport Tete, forgive me. And I mentioned the name because I want to emphasize some things. Basically, I got a very interesting email. Dear Abdurrahman, in Ghana, we don't have policies on this. Just carry on with your work. I thought probably he was suspicious of my name, If Abdurrahman asked me so I said, well, maybe I need to show my credentials. I sent an email back saying, look, please forgive my name, I'm Abdurrahman, but I'm a Christian, believe me. And I said, you can share with Professor Doblo, who is my professor and those kind of things. It's God, but well, actually, we don't have anything. Basically, each church is allowed to do what it wants. That was the end of the story. And so, basically, I said, okay, well, let me just focus on the two-thirds of Christians who are doing this work. Now, this morning, I know Dr. Blair didn't actually do his presentation on Prof. Mura, but interestingly enough, most of the questions were directed towards Prof. Mura. So it helped me because some of your questions, things I've written here, were actually answered. But I'll just still say something on Prof. Mura. When I use Prof. Mura, I mean Christian Council of Ghana, I mean Protestant Church. So I'll use these three names simultaneously. Now, Prof. Mura is actually an African initiative which was started actually to respond to the needs of Christians, or for Christians to respond to the presence of Islam in their context. And when it was started, basically the name was African Islam in African Project. And basically it was taken as a project, you know. And so after a while, they came to realize that, look, this is not just a project about Islam, but it's also a project about relationship. And so they changed the name from that to Program for Christian-Muslim Relations in Africa, Prof. Mura. This, for me, was a shift in the way they now perceive Islam and the direction they are going as a program. And what they've done, or what they do, is actually Prof. Mura in itself, or the Christian Council in itself, doesn't go engaging with Muslims, but it focuses on training churches, and I'll say member churches, and in fact, any church that is interested. Training member churches, first to understand Islam, is very key in their documents. First to understand Islam, then secondly, to offer constructive, and in their document they will say appropriate response to Islam. Okay? Am I going fast? Okay. And to offer appropriate response to Islam. They offer so many things. They offer courses and seminars on Islam. They also publish literature. They've been engaged in actually resolving conflicts. Like the first one I mentioned, Christian Council of Ghana was really in the forefront trying to resolve some of the conflicts. There are so many things they do. They publish a newsletter called Breakthrough. They have a leaflet called Questions Muslim Ask. Now, what does this tell us about their approach? If you read carefully their documents, one of the things that comes out clearly, and I'll just read a quotation from one report written by Dr. Sam Winnie. To have good news, but not know how to deliver that good news, could make it a bad news. And for that matter, Christians who have said good news and who are commissioned to bear witness of reconciliation to all men on earth need to know how to present this news to all men. And I emphasize this, without offending anyone. They've been very keen on this. The idea is that we need to bear witness to the good news, but we also need to do it in a more appropriate way. Their approach has been termed the non-confrontational approach. Now, I don't know whether they see themselves that way or not, but as a researcher and observer, that's the way I come to interpret their approach. It's non-confrontational. This is evident in, there was one man who was with I don't know whether to mention him, but I'll leave that, who worked with them. And eventually they had to part company because this guy's approach was one of confrontation, public debates, insulting, and all kinds of things. And for that matter, the council decided that it was not appropriate to work with this person. And that sort of tells you where the direction they are taking. Now, they also saw that churches need to know that witnessing has to come with some responsibility because of the existential issues. And so somewhere in their first constitution, if you read their first constitution, it doesn't actually say much about peaceful coexistence. And maybe Dr. Azuma will say something later. But later on, the current constitution, you see that it's included. They came to terms with the fact that for any witness to happen, it needs to happen in peace. Christian witness cannot happen without peace. And so what I